In this video, I'm going to take you through my full tutor analysis, part 2 of the ACCA SBL pre-seen information for the June 2026 exam for the company Denis Koko DKK. My name is James, and if you'd like access to my exclusive SBL notes you can see above me that have helped students around the world to pass their examination, just click the link in my bio or in the description of this video and you can download a copy yourself. I'm also delighted to say I'm affiliated and associated with Astranti, and they offer mock examination papers and pre-seen analysis packs based specifically on the June 2026 exam sitting for Denis Koko DKK. And if you'd like to check those out, again, click the link in the description or in my bio. And for pure transparency, as always, as ever, if you were to purchase anything, I'd be entitled to a small percentage which goes to supporting the channel. As always, a massive thank you. And if you have any questions on the pre-seen materials, just leave me a comment or a question below. I will get back to you. And again, it could be that difference in getting you over the line and for that 50 plus. Now let's start to take a look at the introduction. Nice and easy on there, but it has some interesting points as to DKK is a hairdressing business based in Cayland on there. Economic point for a pestle analysis that it's a developed country and a stable economy, bits of disposable income that the customers have, and that it's the third largest business in the industry, which we're told about later on at the bottom of page 2. Halo Hair and Trims are the other large competitors you will definitely need to apply on your exam day. It's been established for 40 years. I only said 70 because it's on page 7 later on, where we're also given more information in more detail about DKK. So a good client base and reputation straight away off the bat there. In terms of the hairdressing industry in Cayland, we're told about the services. They are provided to men, women, and children. Could also call them customers as well. Completely up to you. You're not going to get marked down if you call them clients or customers. There are key case study terms as to the trained staff. We're talking about hairdressers. We're also having some assistants. These are the trainee hairdressers on there. And we also have other people involved in the businesses, such as salon managers, who are usually the hairdressers themselves, and they employ receptionists. So the way it kind of works is you, as a hairdresser, set up a salon, you manage it and cut hair at the same time. You might bring on some trainees, and then you might employ a receptionist, giving you a slightly larger firm on there. There are some really key stats actually in the market structure. I would definitely get down in your notes, and it can also link into a Porter's 5 forces point on here for competitive rivalry. But the key thing is apply the stats on the exam day to a question that it can link into. So as you can see from my notes, the hairdressing industry is a very large and competitive one in Cayland, but they have 259,200 people, just under 1% of the working population are employed in the hairdressing business. It's very fragmented on there, so that means it's disconnected from their participants. There's always new entrants coming into the marketplace, and we're told it has very low entries to barrier and costs on there. And in terms of another key stat, 99% of the hairdressing businesses are small, independent businesses with just one salon and a maximum of 10 members of staff. So it's just one salon, all in the same place on there. And those are the things that dominate the marketplace. With the remaining businesses are either local chains operating 2 to 4 salons in a particular town, city, or region. National clients with 5 or more salons, that's where you get it slightly bigger, but it's not very often because 99% of the hairdressing businesses are small on there. This is where DKK, Halo Hair and Trims fall into the 1% on there. We have no single business actually dominates the marketplace on there. Again, this links into Halo Hair and Trims and DKK. We'll see later on. Some more key stats as to that the 3 largest businesses are national chains and generate less than 3% of the total revenue. So there's lots of competition in the marketplace, and over 98% of the hairdressing businesses have revenue of less than $500,000 on there. So some key stats on there when you're linking to pricing, profitability, and we've also got stats and tables later on page 12 for your notes on that. There are 3 different types of client experience. I'll just roll down my notes on here for you. And we're told we have basic, good, and excellent. So I've broken those down and also put in my notes for you that Trims follows the basic principles, Halo Hair is at the good experience level, and DKK, the company we're representing, is at the excellent stage on there. So excellence in terms of the experience and service, high margins, high levels of added value, whereas the cheap and cheerful, simple, basic skills, low barriers to entry, anyone can pick up a pair of scissors and start cutting hair. The next thing to be aware of, as you can see on page 2 at the bottom, this is where we're given more details on Halo Hair, is the largest chain with 203 salons, and that's where we see the good client experience. That's how it links into the table. The next one is Trims, 85 salons on there, and they provide a basic client experience. That's where the basic comes into it. And DKK, as we're told, we have 50 salons on there and an excellent client experience, again linking into the table. There are some key pre-seen details as well on there that Kayland is, there is an increasing interest among the population to feel good, fueled by growth of the increasing number of hairdressing businesses. So again, a SWOT analysis point there, it's a threat to DKK. And if you have a look on page 7 in your notes, there is only one other place where Halo Hair and Trims are mentioned, and that is page 7 for your notes. So let's pull up the next area on the left-hand side, in terms of the staff. And I'm sure everyone listening to this has had their haircut, so you know what a hairdresser is, the assistants, the salon managers, and receptionists. They're also mentioned on page 2, but these are the key individuals you need to be applying on your exam day. In other words, the better the profile of the hairdresser, the more money they can actually command. And once they have actually qualified and they go through the assistant stage, they start doing CPD, which we'll see later on, they tend to go set up their own salon and to become their own boss. In terms of receptionists, I kind of went, that's very much a luxury cost on there. Not many places actually have receptionists to book appointments, greet clients, but that is where, especially for the premium level that DKK fall into, that is what clients expect. Now, in terms of the training for the next part on here, so a bit more detail on this area now. There is a range of training routes, as you would imagine. So you've got on the job, you can go to college on there and actually do some courses. But anyone can pick up a pair of scissors, and usually the better trained you are within the case study in Kayland, the more you can command in terms of a salary. So many hairdressers actually develop their skills during their career. They do CPD, as you can see on there, so conferences and seminars. And these are actually often run by sponsored global hair care products, so they get to actually use and have experience of them. There are then more practical experience training sessions that they can do, and that is where the higher their training skills go, the more they get paid. Hairdressing competitions is another one, national and international as well. So opportunity to demonstrate their skills, winning competitions, and making a positive impact on the hairdresser's reputation. Again, this is where clients will specifically want to get their hair cut by certain people, and that's an aspect in the industry that the customers are particularly prevalent on, that they want their hair cut by a certain person. And they use social media platforms to showcase their skills, to engage with potential clients and promote their services. Completely free marketing, a pestle point on there for technology, and an opportunity in terms of those national and international competitions. But in terms of DKK, you'll see on the risk register later on that they don't really post that much on social media. They don't leverage the technology very well, and they're missing out on attracting lots of clients there. In terms of the services, again, this is sadly going to be an accounting exam for you, not a hairdressing one. But you need to be aware of the different services: washing, cutting, perming, colouring, straightening, and grooming. I think my hair could probably use a haircut as it stands at the moment. But some services, the key bit for you to get down, are more expensive than others. They vary in the amount of time that it takes. It's a very labour-intensive actual industry to work in, and therefore we're told on page 4 that the low margins are for cutting and grooming, and the high margins are for perming and colouring on there. With sort of washing and grooming, they sort of fall into, well, when you're doing one of the other activities, you also maybe wash the hair. So you might wash someone's hair and then cut it on there as well. Hence why you can see at the bottom, services are often combined, and a client might have their hair washed and cut on there. So be aware of all the different services, and then on top of that, the level of margins. Coming back up to the top now, in terms of what we're looking at for the clients and how they actually book appointments. So they usually book appointments for services in advance on there, pay for the services at the time at delivery. So once you've had your haircut, you of course pay. Then what we are told later on in terms of the method of how people actually book those appointments. So it's not a case of they have an online system. It's very much paper based, and you actually have to get in contact with the salon on there. And also, DKK don't do walk-ins. Now, in terms of other areas for the services, we're told that some salons actually specialize in particular services. So this is where young people might want to actually get their hair colored on there. And you need to understand the client's tastes and preferences and give the customer what they want. Definitely could link into some of the theories and potentially stakeholder analysis on there. DKK opens 6 days a week on there, we're told on page 8, whereas some of the actual single and local chains, they only actually open on 5 days a week. So a little comparison for you to make on that one. And then next, most cost effective to have someone who can do everything on there. So in some of the larger salons, individual hairdressers often specialize, for example, in cutting and coloring, where in most salons, all hairdressers perform all services. So it's, again, just a sort of thing to be aware of in terms of specialty. 94% for DKK on page 12 in terms of revenue that we have now. Coming on to the next area, so hairdressing businesses derive on average 95% of revenue from providing hairdressing services. DKK's is only 94% on there. That's because they sell more hair care products as a result. So again, more revenue streams on there. Customers are more likely to buy when they're actually in the salon. And then that's also where customers can't get them anywhere else. So again, a marketing strategy that whether they're giving away samples, if someone's actually walking by the salon window, they can purchase it on there. They are frequently marketed as professional hairdressing use only. So it's really saying to the customers, these are the best products, you can get them from us. And that is another USP that DKK has. In terms of pricing and costing now, we have plus the costing of the colouring. So these are different factors of, from those services we've talked about, the prices vary in line with the time taken and the actual materials that you need to actually produce for the client, whether they want it colouring or if you just want it cutting, or you've obviously got the cost of washing someone's hair with water on there. These are the variable costs to note down as to that they are very dependent on the length of the client's hair and also the skills and experience of the hairdresser. So if you've got a trainee, they're likely to charge a lot less. Whereas if you've got someone really experienced, high profile, they're going to charge more. People have a large social media following on there, and that's where it's really weird that DKK doesn't leverage social media at all. So the bigger the presence you have and the more experience, the more than they can actually charge. And this bit here for the pricing and costs goes into the strategies a lot more. So discounting for students and older people. I've got down here, I mean, you'd rather have someone in the chair to cut their hair and do something rather than it being completely empty. So at times in the day when, people are at work or anything like that who haven't got time to go get their hair cut, maybe for an older student, a student or an older person, you might have time to actually go and do that and go get your hair cut then. We're then told about key stats about the cost of labour. And then the delivery of the hairdressing services is on an average of 50% of the revenue. So 50% of the cost is linking to the cost of labour. We've got key points on which services have the high and low margins, which we touched on about perming and colouring have the highest. And services stated on page 3. So again, linking it into the colouring aspects and the application of chemicals on there. It really just gives you an inkling as to, are they going to test something about the environment on there? They're trying to get you to picture what's going on in the business and how you can apply that on the exam day. Lastly, we've got the impacts on profitability and margins, more points on variable costs and effective use of time and earning income. So if you're colouring someone's hair, you don't want to be sort of stood there idle. Maybe you can put the colour in and then have someone waiting who you can cut the hair whilst the colour's going into the hair. That was my attempt at being a hairdresser. So yes. Page 11, we also have the availability of these specific products that customers come in for. It's also on page 11 on the risk register. So it's great that DKK actually supplies these. However, there could be an issue as to, well, what if we lose that contract on there and it goes to someone else in Kayland? So this is about clients' hair, about shampoos, chemicals on there, all those different aspects. And then lastly, other costs of running a salon, including rent, heating, lighting, insurance on there. The operating expenses were given a nice breakdown for, and the margin on retail products is much higher than those on the hairdressing services because you buy in the products, you pop on a margin on there, and you know what you're making. Versus the operating expenses, you've got a variety of different things, such as the cost of the products you're applying, and the tools, marketing, labor, as we've talked about, as we said, is on an average of about 50% of revenue. So high costs in terms of the hairdressers on there. But in terms of those hairdressing services and the products, definitely a SWOT analysis opportunity point. And as per page 4, we have retail products count for 5% of revenue for most places, but it's 6% for DKK on page 12 on there. So a variety of different factors that you need to consider. And it's not just a case of looking at the numbers. You've really got to understand what the industry is saying about the products and how DKK can keep up its reputation and brand. And that takes you through our part 2 for today of the pre-scene information for the June 2026 sitting. As I said, if you'd like access to my exclusive notes you can see on the screen, click the link in the description or in my bio and you can download a copy yourself. And be sure to check out those Astranti mock papers and pre-scene analysis packs. Definitely going to be helpful to get you the 50 plus. I'd be using them, do them to time, and they can definitely make the difference. So make sure you stick around and subscribe. I'm going to put a few more videos on the screen and part 3, so I'll see you on the other side for then. So thank you very much.